In a small village by the lush banks of the Volta River, a girl named Priscilla was born into a family of farmers. From a young age, Priscilla's beauty was the talk of the village. Her skin glowed like the morning sun, and her laughter was like a melody that lifted the spirits of all who heard it. Despite her humble background, Priscilla always dreamed of a life beyond the confines of her village. She wanted more than the endless cycles of planting and harvesting, more than the quiet simplicity of the village life. As she grew older, the desire for adventure consumed her. When traders from the city came to the village market, she would sit for hours listening to their stories about Accra, Kumasi, and even places beyond Ghana. The tales of bright city lights, wealth, and luxury set her heart ablaze. One day, a man named Kweku, a trader from Accra, arrived at the market. Handsome and smooth-talking, Kweku captivated Priscilla. He promised her a life of glamour and ease if she would leave the village with him. "You are too beautiful to waste your days here," he said. "Come to the city, and I'll show you what it means to live." Against the pleas of her family, Priscilla left with Kweku. She believed she was heading toward her dreams, but the reality of city life was far from what she imagined. Kweku, it turned out, was no prince but a hustler who quickly abandoned her when he found someone new. Alone in Accra, Priscilla struggled to survive. She found work in a bar, where she met wealthy men who offered her gifts and money in exchange for her company. Priscilla soon became part of the hookup scene, a world where beauty was power. She learned to navigate the glittering but treacherous landscape of the city, climbing her way into wealth. For a time, it seemed as though she had made it. She lived in a luxurious apartment, wore designer clothes, and was invited to the best parties. But deep inside, there was an emptiness she could not fill. One day, everything changed. Priscilla discovered she was pregnant. The father, a married businessman, refused to take responsibility. Priscilla, unprepared for motherhood, was faced with a choice: keep the child and lose her lifestyle, or give up the baby to preserve her freedom. It was then that she met Auntie Efua, a woman known in the city for helping solve problems. Auntie Efua offered her a large sum of money in exchange for the baby. "You can have your life back," Auntie Efua said. "The child will be well taken care of. Trust me." Priscilla hesitated but ultimately agreed. She told herself it was for the best, that she was unfit to be a mother and the child would have a better life. After the baby boy was born, Auntie Efua came to collect him. The moment Priscilla handed over the child, a chill ran through her, but she pushed the feeling aside. She returned to her life in Accra, trying to forget. Years passed, and Priscilla's world began to crumble. Her beauty faded, and the men who once showered her with gifts lost interest. Her money dwindled, and her so-called friends disappeared. She found herself back in the small bars where she had started, desperate for scraps of her former life. One evening, while wandering the streets, she encountered a strange old woman begging for alms. Feeling unusually generous, Priscilla gave the woman her last few cedis. The woman looked at her with piercing eyes and said, "What you seek is not in this city. You must go back to where it all began." Haunted by the words, Priscilla decided to return to her village. She had nothing left to lose. When Priscilla returned, the village was abuzz with whispers. The once beautiful girl who had left for the city now looked haggard and broken. Her mother, though heartbroken by Priscilla's choices, welcomed her home. "You are still my child," she said, embracing her daughter. As Priscilla settled back into village life, memories of the child she had given away haunted her. She confessed everything to her mother, who wept bitterly. Her mother revealed a shocking secret: the boy had been brought back to the village years ago by an unknown benefactor. He was now living with a wealthy merchant's family in a neighboring town. Priscilla was overwhelmed. Could it really be her son? She decided to find out. Priscilla traveled to the neighboring town, where she found the merchant family. Through careful inquiries, she discovered the boy's name was Kojo. He was now 10 years old, bright, and full of life. However, she also learned that Kojo's adoptive family was deeply protective of him. They had no idea about his true origins and loved him as their own. Priscilla managed to get close to Kojo by pretending to be a traveling herbalist. One day, while treating the boy for a minor ailment, she noticed a birthmark on his shoulder, the same mark he had as a baby. Her heart raced. It was him. But as she spent more time around him, she realized something strange. Kojo often spoke of a mysterious pillow he had that told him stories. The family dismissed it as a child's imagination, but Priscilla grew curious. Kojo's pillow, it turned out, was no ordinary object. One night, Priscilla snuck into the boy's room and whispered to the pillow. To her shock, it spoke back. "What do you seek, Priscilla?" it asked in a deep, knowing voice. Priscilla begged the pillow to help her reconnect with her son. The pillow replied, "The boy belongs where he is loved. But if you truly wish to claim him, you must sacrifice the life you know. Are you willing?" Priscilla, desperate to make amends, agreed without hesitation. The next day, strange events began to unfold. The merchant family suddenly lost their wealth, and they decided to leave the town. Before they departed, Kojo ran to Priscilla, sensing her love for him. "Who are you?" he asked. Priscilla could only say, "I am someone who will always care for you." Though Kojo stayed with his adoptive family, Priscilla returned to the village and began a new life. She became a caretaker for orphans, dedicating her days to helping children in need. Her story spread, and people came to see her as a symbol of redemption. Years later, Kojo, now a grown man, returned to the village to meet her. Though he had long suspected the truth, he came not with anger but with gratitude. "You gave me life twice," he said. "Once when you bore me, and again when you let me go." Priscilla, tears streaming down her face, embraced her son. In that moment, she knew that her journey, though painful, had brought her to the place she was always meant to be.